will you be the chair of the call department? This is about you. And of course, an English professor at Western. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight to celebrate our English Senior Seminar students who will be graduating very soon or finishing up in the fall before moving on to even better things. I know that's hard to believe. They will be presenting creative pieces inspired by critical papers that they've written during their time here. This group of students came back to topics regarding representation, identity, subversion, and religion. And so their creative pieces have been grouped accordingly. We'll have a 10-minute intermission, and we'll also be ending the evening with what they would imagine some of their last words to be. Okay, now here's the hard part. I'm armed with a tissue. Oh, don't all.
Me too.
Adam, Allison, Anne, Chris. Damn it.
Damn it, Chris. It's always you who makes her cry.
This makes me cry. Yeah. Thank you. Janessa, Janelle, Kevin, Maggie, and Sarah. I know it may have been a little difficult to envision where the course was going, as well as the why. But the why is exactly this moment, which will hopefully become a fond memory for you. This is about the joy of knowing that everyone here cares about you. The simplicity of that may not seem intellectually rigorous, but it is nonetheless vital, as all happiness is. I have marveled at the dynamic that occurs among you during classes, the honesty with which you have workshopped each other's pieces, the insights in discussing texts, the caustic humor, which has made so many of your conversations. And if you know this group, that is not a surprise. All of that has amazed me, but more importantly, made me laugh. You don't know how grateful I am for being allowed to be a part of that. And you have continued in the English Senior Seminar tradition of renewing my pride in what our soon-to-be graduates have accomplished, and in making me miss you even before you left me.
I'm sucking at this right now.
I also like to make other people cry. Not just by yelling, and not just by yelling at them.
Good enough, bro.
So now, I have the pleasure of introducing the 4 topics in a manner indicative of this idea of the fragment and the achievement of wholeness or cohesion. Because I'll tell you, these kids did come together, as rowdy as they are. My introduction to each of this is actually made up of lines from the creative pieces which comprise that section of readings. I ask that you hold your applause until the writers of these pieces take a group bow at the end of each section. Otherwise, we get pretty tired. All right. First readers. Representation. I don't care about intention. I care about what you understand, except that challenges in this place are often taken advantage of. After all, I have a family I don't want, but together we can wreak destruction on those who attempt to define us, because the poem doesn't know any better, and if it did, it just might bite back.
This piece is called The Question Concerning Interpretation, a Comic Response.
Woo!
Yeah.
I find it hard to approach a stranger, but when I noticed such a scene as the one present before my eyes, I felt obliged to say something. You know, in a place such as this, and people mingling, as they most obviously are, it is not gentlemanly to labor that much over anything, especially literature, good sir.
Leave me alone. This is my only time I have to read.
Free time? Is that some archaic pronunciation of Facebook time? Ooh, yeah, that's going in the book.
Oh, so you're writing a book?
I am indeed writing a book.
Oh yeah, about what?
It's called 101 Must-Read Etymologies. I think it is going to be a real page-turner.
Are you almost done with it then?
Yep, it's all done. Well, actually, I'm still doing a little revising. You know, turning the ideas over in my head to get them just right, that when I actually start the writing process, the pages will just pour out of me, like that.
Go be patriotizing somewhere else.
I can only assume you mean patronizing. And I saw how much you were struggling with that book. If reading causes you to sweat like a parlor maid, then you should probably find something better to read.
Quite an ego you have here. This is the Faulkner, by the way. Have you heard of him? The supreme American author of his time?
Faulkner is indecipherable cryptic drivel. Trash, really. Faulkner was not writing stories. He was only showing off that he owned a thesaurus.
If you're not ready for Faulkner, you're not ready for Faulkner. Might I suggest something like the New York Post?
I will have you know, I went to Harvard.
La-dee-da, so you're good at masturbating.
How witty. And where did you learn that stupendous humor? What is your alma mater?
What would I need a llama mater for?
An alma mater, the school you graduated from?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I got an honorary degree from North Public High School for my critically acclaimed work on Harvard graduates and their condescending nature.
Frankly, I hope you pardon that last remark. I have never known a Harvard man to be condescending. A Harvard man knows what to say and when. Not a word more. Maybe my friends at Oxford, sure, but not a Harvard grads, no, never. If you had gone to Harvard, you would understand.
How does a Harvard man such as yourself not enjoy Faulkner?
Faulkner's style is simply pretentious. He is ornamentally pompous, really just too much flair. In my opinion, his ego gets in the way. He thinks everything is better said with a capacious word. He is just too verbose.
Yeah, you're right. There's nothing more frustrating than frivolous and pretentious erudition.
I prefer simplest is best. I can assure you on this council. Look at Hemingway, for example. He is a contemporary of Faulkner, but he writes in an opposite style. Hemingway writes short sentences. Hemingway uses words with fewer syllables. Hemingway seems to avoid emotion. Hemingway says in 6 words what Faulkner does with 6 pages of time-wasting rhetorical flourish.
Woo!
Have you heard the famous quotes between the authors?
Yeah, I've heard him.
Well, it is a fine example of my argument. Faulkner said of Hemingway, he has never been known to use a word that might send a reader to the dictionary, to which Hemingway replied, poor Faulkner, does he really think that big emotions come from big words? I think it's pretty obvious who the clear victor is there.
I would almost say Hemingway hasn't read enough Faulkner. Faulkner doesn't always use big words. He doesn't always use big sentences. He uses them when necessary. Faulkner uses children and idiots as narrators. He doesn't use big words then.
Faulkner is known for big words and long sentences. Argue that. Faulkner could tell his stories with simple language, but he didn't, and that is why Hemingway is more masterful. You see, my point is that Hemingway's writing is like an iceberg. He only describes the tip coming out of the water. The story hides below. Grandiloquence distorts the author's intent. Are you following me?
What if the shape of the iceberg is really concave or convex? Is curved inward or curved outward really a better description? And how is the iceberg metaphor unique to Hemingway? How is that not true of all writing? Don't we always associate? In general, I hate the iceberg image. It's old, it's wrong, it's confining. People act like reading is just unfolding a book and finding a story hiding there. The magic happens in the reader's head, not the writer's pen.
Academic reading is uncovering the author's intention, and intention is most easily understood in the most humble, naive language.
Really? So everything that's not the author's point is just bad reading? Let's say I figure out how to cure cancer and can even support it with textual evidence. Is that still bad reading?
Curing cancer would be great and all, but that would not be academic reading. You would have merely found evidence of an incorrect hypothesis.
Is there really a correct hypotenuse?
It's pronounced hypothesis. And yes, it's the author's intention.
Did I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable?
The wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, yes.
Semiotics.
You mean semantics.
So you don't understand what I'm saying.
Your intent seems clear.
I don't care about intention. I care about what you understand.
Give the author some credit. After all, he wrote it.
The author doesn't own the book. I bought it.
The author forged letters into sentences to piece together something that resembles an idea in his head.
So I still had to read it and make sense of the whole thing.
I will start over. Lest my lexicon fail me, people just do not listen. Still, I don't suspect it's my word choice because I have just read the book Expand Your Word Power in 10 Easy Lessons, and that went substantially.
No, not your word choice.
Well, anywho, sometimes, for some strange reason, I worry that I do not get my point across succinctly. I will go over my ideas in a bit more detail.
I have to go.
Yes, I affirm simplest is the best. I can assure you on this council. Look at Hemingway, for example. He's a contemporary of Faulkner, but he writes in an opposite style.
You can't even hear me, can you?
Hemingway writes short sentences.
None of this is getting through, huh?
Hemingway uses words with fewer syllables. Hemingway seems to avoid emotion. Hemingway says in 6 words what Faulkner does with 6 pages of time-wasting rhetorical flourish. Have you heard the quotes between the authors?
Okay, so I wrote a poem called Views. Vast, spacious prairie plains, where the wind bends the tall grass. Tall, rigid mountains capped with snow are seen in the distance. Challenges here are often taken advantage of. Rough, cracked hands grip the coarse mountain rocks as fatigued, weary muscles make their way to the summit. By accepting challenges in this place, a sense of security can be felt by some. Happiness overwhelms the body and mind. All fears and harms are set aside. It is at this point, among the bliss, one can truly say, I feel at home.
All right, these 2 poems are going to go one after the other. The first one is Economics, and that will be performed by Chris and Adam. And Adventure will be performed by me and Janelle. Yay. Woo!
Economics. I have a Victorian house.
It needs another story and a pool.
I have a vintage Porsche.
I want the latest Lambo.
I have a beautiful wife.
It needs bigger breasts.
She loves me.
So long as I buy her diamonds and gold.
I have 3 wonderful children.
I want more nannies.
We have dinner parties.
Not family dinners.
I have 6 20-year-old Scotches.
They aren't enough to drown my sorrows.
My daughters have 2 Chihuahuas.
I like Great Danes.
My son plays polo.
I'm a football man.
My wife is a monogamous yoga instructor.
I'm a cheating businessman.
We go to PTA meetings together.
I'd rather be at the golf course.
I have a family.
I don't want.
I am happily single.
When are you gonna find yourself a man?
I'm still young.
It's time to settle down. You're not getting any younger, you know.
I have great friends.
Samantha, Joyce, and Elizabeth are all married. Why haven't you?
I love my freedom.
Why don't you go off the pill and just see what happens?
I want to travel the world.
That's dangerous for a single woman.
I want life experiences.
The experiences that count in life come from motherhood.
I want to be a nomad.
I found you a perfect one-story with a white picket fence.
I have my cake and I eat it too.
No one wants to see a fat bride.
I want to travel down the canals of Venice.
Good wives stay at home and clean.
I want to drink beer and sleep in hammocks.
You need to cook for your husband or else he'll starve.
I want to be a successful journalist.
Motherhood is your occupation. You need a family.
I'm not ready for.
Hi, I'm Janelle. This is the Coven of Faulkner.
And two, and up.
We are the Coven of Faulkner.
We are subject to man's desires.
Nature is subject to man's desires too.
Faulkner writes us as parallels. We share each other's pain.
We are early ego-feminists.
From this day forth, we will not shave our legs.
We will dance naked in the woods. Woo-hoo!
We will procreate where and when we want to. And we will not be defined by men.
We will destroy those damn men.
Mother Earth, I am Joanna Burden, but please call me by my chosen pagan name, Medusa beneath the shrubbery. I turn to you to find fertility despite the onset of menopause. I require a baby in order to create a new generation of female worship rather than female enslavement. I fornicate under your skies and become wild, disregarding the societal taboos that come from my apparent nymphomania. I am already an outcast because of my nigger-loving ways, so how better to further express my independence than by flaunting my superior feminine wiles in the face of patriarchy? Let us become as one and allow me to be heavy with child.
Nature, I'm Dewey Dell, you know, as in Moist Valley. Yeah, my mama and daddy don't much like me, so to hell with them damn names, I'm living up to it. I got naked in the cotton field with life. Sure done pick and fill my sack with more than just cotton, if you catch my meaning. That guy at the pharmacy tricked me too, and then daddy gone took my money for new teeth. Them damn men always thinking about themselves and don't care a lick for me. Nature, I'm only 17, and I like sex, but I hate the idea of a baby. Could you give me a miscarriage, please? I can't let any man or child define who I am.
Mother Nature, I'm Ellie, but call me Medea amongst the wisteria. I will not be called by the male-dominated society decided was fitting for me. I need to kill my grandmother, the mean old bitch. She's just as bad as any man, thinking she can tell me what to do and who I can and cannot marry. I refuse to identify with this old southern expectations of a young woman. I'm smart, sexy, desirable, independent, damn it. And if I want to have sex with a Negro, I will. And speaking of Paul, he's only using me for sex, so I have to kill him too. Can you help me? I refuse to be anyone's toy.
Nature, I need to find the father of my baby, and I know he works at one of the sawmills, which is why there's no more trees left. And if I find him, he'll run again. And if he doesn't define me, and he'll soon run out of work if he keeps cutting down them trees. But I'll find him, even if I have to walk all over Mississippi, and I'll be lighter in August by then, because he'll get what's coming to him. He'll sure as shit get what's coming to him. Me.
Oh, the sound! Oh, the fury! No one knows me. I'm describing my three brothers in an omniscient narrator, but none of them knows me. They keep talking about my muddy breeches like I'm some kind of common whore. Oh, hell no! I just wanted to get away from that house, my parents, my family, but now they just have my daughter and they won't let me see her. I hope she breaks out from under the protection of your vows and escapes that horrible place. Please help her if you can. I can't imagine what they do to her spirit like that Trot don't mind.
Mother, sister, like us, you are a victim to men's desires and expected roles.
We are used, abused, controlled, and abandoned.
We turn to you for help and comfort.
Together, we can wreak destruction on those who attempt to define us.
Just as you unleash your flood and fire, we can deliver our own forms of justice and revenge. We will rebel. We will be equal.
Forgive me, Stevens. Like a warm wind with no blackbird to toss and carry, what do minds do while no minds linger and tarry? Connecticut evaded Stevens' mind nearly successfully, but his jar was laid and carried hills to page. The plain sense of things still seems to get away because I I'm a violent reader. If a blackbird chirped in the ear of the reader's textured message, does the ear open to its bird brain logic, or does the reader throttle the little bird neck and demand its dearest secrets and aphorisms? Its myopic circling against and then again with the wind has me scanning the ground for rocks, first touching each's weight in my hand and then flinging them skyward, hoping to knock the bird to the ground, and in final respiration, croak, more like a crow, its high-flying musings. I am a bad reader. I leave the poem in the backyard without a water dish, returning desperately at the whims of an inconsistent conscience. The poem doesn't know any better. If it did, it might bite back at the theory I leave unattended around it. The poem is toothless and declawed. Its deep rumble stark thin in its gullet after my neglect. I am a confused reader. Humming and strutting, the poem swells its black chest. The words buzz and impressive sounding, and swoops with red eyes around my head. Only the rhythm survives. The dance that mocks my difficulty. Have I done it justice? Have I been insatiable? Like a maniacal earthquake, knowing neither myself nor the one I undermine, I work from the faults in the poem's crust and derive exquisite implausibilities from which I may never be satisfied till all rips apart. The act is exhausted, the mind capsized. And if I proved a single thing, it's as Stephen sometimes overlooked an aspect of being to which even the blackbird alluded, as it sat in the afternoon snow. We only ever search for ourselves in the simplest things, from a jar tucked in the verdant hills of Tennessee to the poetry of a modernist king.
Identity. Opening a book is like opening an author's fridge. Among the good and bad, you get confused. To entertain with a creative refrain is an amusement of societal lust. Yet, it's important to preserve a sense of racial pride, to never forget your roots. To your mind, that all is unquestionably true. But you see, and this is where it begins to get dicey, the problem with writing about identity is that you end up with one too.
This is called Hungry with an Empty Fridge. Cats have a history for soothing the blistery that a boiling deadline singes on the fridge of the mind. Just one cat video I make as a rule. It'll be like 30 seconds. In fact, I've watched 7 cat videos. Haunted by a due date, screaming, scheming in the not distant shadows, staring at a blank screen burns worse than the sun. The cursor keeps time better than a metronome. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Like a mocking clock, it sounds an alarm that another second has passed and I still have writer's block. I thought to myself, 4 cups of coffee ought to do the trick. 20 minutes later, churning and burning, bitter bile retaliates, making it clear that was insincere and I should take good care of my stomach. Hands posed above the keys, my mind whither wanders till musky body odors fill the room with the color yellow, persuading the nostrils the importance of deodorant. My mind roams with passing fancy like running on a treadmill that is one speed too fast, until large sweat stains make a convincing argument that I should not be in a public place. Writer's block is like fiberglass on the brain. Like an ointment to an itch, a terrible first line would be a blessing. Anything will do. Writers have little idea what life words live, divorced from the author and wedded to the reader. A few letters make a few words that form a sentence that a reader cooks, chews, tastes, and digests. But think not that the writer is a cook. Opening a book is like opening an author's fridge. A hungry reader scans the raw and the uncooked, plans a meal, hunts out the ingredients, formulation, formation, presentation, then inebriation from savoring each morsel of a meal cooked by yourself. Advice to young writers. It may feel like being a fish on a hook, for it seems like an insufferable chore, but revel that your job is not to cook, simply take a trip to the grocery store. Do not forget, force feeding should be illegal, even in literature. P.S. If you don't like to cook, just grab a beer, for I think the cliche typically known as commonly as the hardness of stone, as surely as the firmness of a boulder, beauty is in the eye of the beer holder.
so my next piece is called Reflection. Smooth porcelain skin and youth can be seen in my portrait. A portrait that reveals my true reflection to society. Fascination, perfection, and beauty, all good characteristics. But seeing only the good blinds people of my entire personality. Deception, corruption, and dishonesty. Again, all bad aspects of my personality. Seeing only the bad also blinds people of my whole personality. Among the good and the bad, I am confused. Advice from Lord Henry only increased my confusion about who I am. I look at my changing portrait, see both the good and bad, my complete personality, a portrait that shows my true reflection.
Alright, words are reality. Seething, sticky, stenched. Words from a diary. Though complaints can only stain, so a diary is only meant to vent. Worming, writhing, wise. Paragraphs in my paper. A weak critique comes with peaks in focus, just forced lies. Titillating, treacherous, tasteful. Thoughts unrolled in my head. Confusing musings are said for only me to see in full. Dancing, dreamlike, desirous. Words used for beauty and pain. To entertain with a creative refrain is an amusement of societal lust. Dismembered, distorted, degrading. Phrases to promote a product. The media was a seat of the simple purpose of trading. This is a segregation of words. Above, atop, against, white men's standardization. Langston Hughes' overused elation, a mountain of black pride so intense. Into, including inside. The Black Mountains glow could be controlled below by the plains of white pride. Between, beneath, beside, the cracks of American space. If only the native could own a trace of his identity's craggy landslide. This is the segregation of power. Assimilate, appropriate, appease, to avoid what's right, to keep their right close and tight in the body of whites. Subdue, sequester, steal. Any political attack attempted to take back, without a gun rack, marginalize natives and blacks. Execute, exterminate, eradicate. If all else fails, action prevails with fist and nails when words are jailed. This is the segregation of men.
Race reversal.
Coffee house holding an open mic night in downtown LA. All the tables are occupied, but one lonesome broken one in the furthest left corner. Next to the table, 3 empty stools. Vanilla Ice walks in, spots a table, and takes the first stool. A crumpled piece of paper rolls in his palm, his lips move up and down, reciting his next big hit. Wayne Brady casually walks through the door. Stops, takes a look around, sees the only available chair is in the back, struts over, says a casual greeting, not realizing it's Vanilla Ice, and takes a seat. The final stool is left open for some time while the 2 artists mentally prepare themselves. The lights dim, a silhouette carefully steps over, pulls the last chair from the table, and takes a seat. The first performer finishes, the lights go up, both men are surprised to see a colorful, heavily sewn sweater. They trace the sweater up to the neckline, and who else could it be? None other than the world-renowned Bill Cosby.
Yo, yo, yo! What up, my African-American brothers?
Excuse me, sir. What did you just refer to me and my colleague here as?
That's right with all the flag flyers in and the flirty jerk. Seriously, young man, who thought you to talk that way?
Nice baby did, Gramps.
Kids say the darndest things.
It's hilarious that white kids nowadays want to act black.
Back in my day, it was the black fellows acting white.
Yeah, dog. I heard about that once. Some sort of ass mutation.
You mean assimilation?
Back then, people thought I had to be white in order to survive, not just to maintain appearance.
So then people with ass titanium used it for a better life?
Back then, people still call me Whitey or Uncle Tom, just because I displayed proper mannerisms and a more sophisticated social class.
I feel you, man. It's like when people hear my rap, you know? They all hear like mad beats and sick rhymes. But I'm like an artist, dog. You know? There's like a message in there. I need to be heard.
I think of it like pudding.
It all started with black fellows, the bottom layer, acting like the middle layer. And now white fellows, the middle, act like stereotyped black hooligans, the top layer. Now imagine, if you will, a spoon. It gives the picture and mixes the black and the white layers just as they wanted. Now everything is the same. There is no separate colors, no uniqueness, no individuality, no heritage. It's all just pudding.
I got this. Back in a flash.
So what you're saying, Mr. Cosby, is that assimilating can never end well?
Not exactly, son. See, we can all learn to learn from each other. What I'm saying is it's important to preserve a sense of racial pride. You never forget your roots and never let anyone else around you forget it either.
I see. The best we can do is always be aware of where we come from, to look down and remind ourselves of just what our skin needs. As a comedian, I have a good understanding of boundaries. There are just some lines that should not be crossed. People have to recognize the line.
Well said, young man. You, like me once, can be a proud black comedian. Take pride in your work and your heritage. Be the true Negro artist.
Negro artist?
Yes, coined by Langston Hughes, the Negro artist is the artist that doesn't surrender his work to denial of his own skin color, but instead uses that art to take pride in his blackness. He uses his work to remind the rest of his race to take pride in their inherited skin color.
I like that. I am the true Negro artist.
That's right. Take pride, buddy.
Killing it.
Now quit that, son. Why do you act like that? Why don't you just be yourself? I bet you're a smart boy.
Please, you're furthering a negative stereotype. That's not really how you see people like us, is it?
No, I suppose it's not. You see, the only way that someone like myself can get by in the rap game is by fulfilling a role. I know that it's a lie, but without this facade, I can't hope to find success.
No, it's not. It's just like Mr. Cosby here just told me. You can find a way to still be the artist you are while taking pride in your own race.
Well, I'll be. It's just the reverse of the Jim Crow era. Now, white fellows are acting like black fellows to be successful. It's the whole craziest thing I've ever heard.
So you guys think that someone like me can still play the rap game while being myself?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try, damn it. Why you gotta be all business?
Now, what did we just say, boy? You quit that.
Sorry, Mr. Cosby. It's a habit, you know?
We understand. Just work on it.
Ice, ice baby, right?
Ice, ice, baby.
This is a conversation between F. Scott Fitzgerald and Jay Gatsby.
Good to see you, James.
Good to see you too, old sport. But I do wish you wouldn't call me that.
Why not? It is your name after all.
Hasn't been in years. I'm self-made now.
Nonsense, I made you.
That is.
Accurate?
On the fields of Montenegro, I fought bravely to survive and go to any length to win back my Daisy.
In a sense, yes. To your mind, that's all unquestionably true. But you see, and this is where it gets a bit dicey, that happened because I thought it.
God?
Not even close. I merely wrote you as a personal inspiration of my own romantic escapades. You see, you are all my worst traits. You're obsessive,
Resolute.
needy,
Attentive.
self-assured, or arrogant.
Self-assured.
And most importantly, we have a nasty fixation with the unavailable.
How so?
You are in love with a married mother with a controlling white supremacist husband. Did you imagine that working out for you? Oh, I almost forgot delusions of grandeur.
Daisy and I are meant to be together.
Actually, no. If you were meant to be together, you would have been. Instead, you end up shot in your backyard.
I what?
Oh, don't look so ashen. It all worked out.
For who? What was the point of all this?
Beg pardon?
Why you put me up through all this? Poverty, war, unrequited love, death? What was the point of it all if it lived but not on the page? For you it may have been a farce, but I lived it.
The truth is I could have easily been you. Had the book not been a success, I would not have made my fortune and married Zelda. In a way, your failure begat my success.
And what about me?
You're immortal. Factions the world over will know your name. But your story will live on forever.
What is this called, this book?
The Great Gatsby.
Great? What's so great about losing the love of my life? You wrote the thing. Surely you can change it. A sequel. We could both have happy endings.
I'm sorry, old boy, but that just isn't possible.
Why not?
You can't recreate the past, old boy.
Why? Of course you can. Ways of writing, or how to be see-through. Hart and Negri, they plunk off the tongue like wooden blocks, bumping and rolling, slowly tipping past in unnatural degrees. Names I've recited 50, 100, 500 times. They follow, each like a steam engine, a boxcar, shuffling and blowing steam, two Marxist co-authors with utopian dreams. Negri, the political prisoner who shakes when he lifts a cup, knows the old songs that with bravado and tragedy tell the story of Spaniards a century ago. Hart, the name with the sound of a steak, sitting quietly in butcher paper. These pictures are they. In their writing, I saw a crowd, diverse and indistinct, 1,000 dirty shirts, swelled and sticky, a bit obscene. It was monstrous, and its monstrosity rose like a stumbling, nearsighted man-child, whose humanity is finally affirmed. It wants a big wraparound hug, from which you retreat. The crowd's unfortunate humanness was its only ethos, which, however begrudgingly, is enough. Some among us turned away inside, perhaps figuring that the way to deal with such problems is to avoid eye contact and offer a limp handshake. Their shirts are stained with barbecue sauce, and their stretched necks sag. Is it wrong to write about an identity that's as foreign as an ocean? No, I'm no savior. It's easy to write and pretend that my reading matters, but only because Hart and Negri write to me like I'm part of that crowd. But I'm no appraiser. Why? And what does one read? I peruse books like a drug-sniffing dog. Of what does my critique consist? They'll say I'm a Marxist, or a patient of postmodern paralysis. I want to be a see-through writer who slips and shimmies away from every accusation, swinging clear of any identification. The stained secret of humanity is that you're deep in that crowd as well. Another dirty shirt flailing without means or measures to keep the eyes off your monstrous bits and put on show the human. Though they are the same, and those who write otherwise are as close to dying of irony as anyone ever was. The problem with writing about identity is that you end up with one too.
Subversion. They know they cannot live up to my expectations of murder. So I pray for the sun to rise and dispel these shadows that I've become. After all, I'm not the monster everyone thinks I am. We all know a pig barn smells like bloody shit from miles away. Because this is a world where pleasure is unprincipled, and the unconscious is strictly reserved for head trauma.
So we're up now.
Mr. De Quincy, Thomas, sir, you must wake up. Here. Sir, reviews on your latest piece on murder considered a fine art. You know, they're not happy with you. I think people took you too seriously. You may need to write a response. Sir.
No one understands satire anymore. Why, William Blake wrote that there is no natural religion, which is true. We make up a higher power for ourselves. We are born not knowing knowing of a God. Society forms our concept for us. Art is the same. We create and appreciate art based on societal principles of what is aesthetically pleasing. Murder, on the other hand, is quite natural to us as a species. No matter how often we attempt to bring religion into the question of morality and murder, we still cannot argue for a sense of sanctity of life. Since we just recently got done celebrating the most publicized murder of the past 2,000 years, Jesus' crucifixion. Yep, we killed God, if you believe that story. Religion even takes it a step further, promoting the act of cannibalism as a sanctified ritual. So how can we claim that murder is wrong when we tend to glorify it? Why can't it be considered as a serious art form? Because no one has yet to make murder aesthetically pleasing. No one appreciates a good murder nowadays. Jeeves, stand there. Take this dictation and make sure the words drip with sarcasm. I have grown bored with the attempts to kill me. Hold a knife to my throat and I say, slit with grace. Watch them run, leading, since they know they cannot live up to my expectations of murder. Oh, you have a gun. How nice. And yet how unoriginal of you. Oh, bludgeon me? Savage. How dare you call yourself evolved? Oh, poison. How passive-aggressive of you. As if you're a Jewish mother who doesn't want her only son to marry a Catholic girl. Ooh. Strangling. You kinky little fellow. You don't realize how tantalizing that sounds. Set me on fire? No, you don't even make me sizzle. Overdose wholeheartedly with my veins or my digestive system. Drown me. Now that's exciting. Until you loosen your resolve and mistake my exhaled bubbles with a jacuzzi's. Am I so unkillable? Or have I just progressed beyond the art of murder? Am I an art snob? A critic who cannot see beyond his palate? Seriously, I have grown bored with the attempts to kill me. Now, Jeeves, send that to the printers and see if anybody understands me.
Never sent a response, and he fired me for it. That, and he couldn't afford me. He wrote his response himself many years later, and it was poorly replied. What with all the opium and all.
Moon loot him. Rat-a-tat-tat, sparks fly and the brush trembles. Hit the deck, face filled with mud, the smell of dirt, and sweet tropical grass. Screams crackle over the radio. Ambush Charlie! Ambush Charlie! Combat crawl. Grope the earth in tight clutches, trying to reach back home. Back on watch. Droplets fall from leaky palm leaves. Thump, 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 splattering on my helmet. Flood rains descend, ceaselessly pouring, slowly subsuming. Everything is wet. Everything drowns into itself to evaporate and fall again. Arms firm, rifle ready, a droplet clings to the cold steel barrel. Scanning the hill crest, shadows dance between thick jungle trees. Forms emerge, collide, melt, appear, dissolve. Eyes burning, swelling tear ducts. Vision grows weary as phantoms prey in the darkness. What flesh cannot sense, it cannot vanquish. I wait for him and remember the twang of strings, the sound of silk stretched tightly along bamboo. It echoes in the marketplace, along winding dirt roads, ringing from porches and rickety fishing boats, floating down the silent river. The play of tension, the delicate dance of pressure and release. Because he's heard of yin and yang, of white with black and of weak with strong. So I wait with tired eyes, praying for the sun to rise, and dispel these shadows that I've become, waiting for him whose life is strung across from mine. Crouching beneath the tree, the devil man, a liar and a thief, a liar, vile and unclean, always thirsty, more blood of fathers and tears of children, never quenched. Boom! Explosions erupt, tearing holes in the atmosphere. The mass of the whole earth sways. Fiery fingers sprawl across treetops, stripping bare the jungle, peeling away its life. He's not heard of yin and yang, of light with dark, and dark with light, only of black and white. As he exhales, I smell the stench of fear and tobacco on his breath, and feel this tremble in the pith of his heart as it begins to wrench. Strings tremble just the same, when strung then plucked, sounds wax and wane, like the moon draws the tide to crash upon the shore and then recede. I know this tune from times long past, mother serenading father as he cast the net gently into the river, sweat glistening on his back. The fear of death and of living too is who we are, what we must do. So I wait with tired eyes, praying for the sun to rise and dispel these shadows that I've become, watching him whose life is strung across from mine. O fair woman, how sweet you are, that while we lie beneath these stars, without food nor home, nor treasure still, you offer your hand to we who kill. So though their hosts be spread across the sky, your radiance does outshine them all. O beauty that befalls all of us wretched few, who do what other lovers cannot do. For you have heard of yin and yang, lover of the weak, tamer of the strong, and know like us that there is no dark and light, nor black and white, but only ghosts of gray. We pray you let us enter you, and bid you let us stay. O fair woman of the night, turn us not away.
This is session 10. It's based on my second analytical paper about Carla Homolka is in there, so sorry if it bums you out.
This is Dr. Menzies with Carla Leanne Homolka, convicted of rape and manslaughter. Today is Thursday, September 20th, 1993. Session 10. So Carla, how are you doing today?
Fine. My cellmate keeps hitting on me, but who can blame her?
Tell me again why you're here.
Well, Robin.
Carla, I've already told you. Please call me Dr. Menzies.
Fine. Dr. Menzies, you know why I'm here. But to make the record clear, I was accused of some killings and apparently inappropriate personal sexual encounters I've had in the past.
You were convicted, Carla.
Doesn't mean it's true.
There's videotape evidence, Carla, of you partaking in these acts.
Videotape evidence that came after my plea bargain, so it doesn't really count.
Have you heard from Paul?
No, not yet.
And how do you feel about Paul, Carla?
I mean, yeah, I'm a little upset with him right now, but Paul is a sexy, fun, wealthy man. We made couple. A sexy man deserves a gorgeous wife. And it's no news that tons of women wanted Paul and envied me. Even my own sister, for God's sake.
So tell me about your sister, Tammy.
Tell you what about her?
Why wasn't she at your wedding?
Tammy was a great sister. You could say we were close. I really wish she could have been at Paul's wedding, but, well, the night I finally let her act on her thoughts of my fiance, as well as her secret lesbian desires, she ended up choking and dying after it all. Tragic, really.
And what about the high dose of horse tranquilizer found in her body?
Some people just can't hold their tranquilizer.
What about Jane?
Oh, sweet little Jane. She was my gift to Paul, kind of a congratulations for us getting married present. She was an aspiring model, so of course she looked up to me. I just thought it was time to give her some real world experience. I just hope she didn't have a casting call that next day because she was walking a little bow-legged.
And Leslie, how do you feel about her?
Well, for Leslie, I really wanted to practice my acting, see if I can make it as a famous actress one day. It's the whole videotaping thing. Other than that, nothing really special. No talent on her part.
And Kristen?
Kristen. She was pretty. Paul really liked her. She was okay.
You went to Easter dinner at your family's after sexually assaulting Krista for 3 days, then finally beating and strangling her to death. Did you not?
Is that judgment I hear, Robin?
Miss Dr. Menzies.
At least I made it to dinner, Dr. Menzies. I'm not the monster everyone thinks I am.
The U.S. Yep, that's us. I live in America. Actually, I take that back, my bad. I live in the U.S., as in us, thank you. Canada is sort of America, kind of like us with reindeer and igloos. Oh, and Mexico, oranges, fruit, outsourcing, immigrants. I also looked up Caribbean provinces. You know the islands below us. Forgot which ones, but we own some of those, whatever that means. Back to us in the U.S., we know what we are, who we are, what we're doing. We eat hot dogs and carry guns. We watch football, baseball, and glorify pathetic commercials. Watch the Olympics too, but only games the U.S. dominates. No, actually, wait a minute. Really, we eat organic tomatoes. We carry Nalgene bottles. Never plastic bottles, God forbid. We make climbing a rock a sport, just like running in place becomes our way of thinning down, or wasting the food that we just ate. And lifting heavy objects gives us an adrenaline rush. It doesn't do anything, we just do it because we're bored. But we do it, yeah, us, all of us. We do all of those things, everyone. We work in the field, sun up to sundown, choking on dirt and burning dead skin and melted sweat, driving green machines, and we all know a pig barn smells like a bloody shit from miles away. What else? I forgot. I guess some of us sit in offices, buy colorful sticky notes for fun, and play with paper clips while coming up with brilliant ideas, polish the name on our desks. Stare at a computer screen. Every itching word scratches the pupil of your eyes till you need glasses. But it makes us the big bucks for the glasses in the insurance that comes with the high cholesterol of such a stressful job. I think that just about sums it up. Lets the world know who we are. Because trust us, we are not the world, but we are the ones in charge. We're a lot brighter than the rest. Sorry. Of the rainbow kids out there, we are hard workers. No, we are sophisticated businessmen. We love God. No, we are democratic. We believe in everyone's God. We are independent. No, we believe in the ideals of the UN. We build this country with our bare hands, but everything is existentially arbitrary. We protect this country no matter what, but we despise the government and their foreign policies. We are a melting pot of multiculturalism, except we don't want those Mexicans jumping the fence. Yep, I think that's us. Yep, that's the U.S., duty and independence. We're assimilated, we're diverse, we love culture, we speak one language. We speak only for ourselves, but we represent others. When nobody speaks for themselves, when nobody speaks for another. Basically, when we're done speaking, and we just do, we will be we.
My poem is entitled Yo Mama. I wonder about Freud's parents and the most disturbingly curious peculiarities that must have been Freud's upbringing. Never stated before now is it painfully obvious that Freud was wrong. In psychoanalysis, parents are key in the study of the case, and I can't help but wonder what kind of parenting bred such a man with such a mustache. Were they overbearing or neglectful? Maybe his mother was a bit too nice, his father was a bit too mean. Freud is the definition of irony, embodiment of his own theories, pining for attention like a child in the supermarket or North Korea. You think his ego would have put him in check, and made him realize that he wasn't brilliant for his theories, only brilliant for his merit in deflecting attention. Deflecting attention away from himself and his misguided affections. Maybe he was the anomaly, not us. Maybe he was the only one who found Oedipus Rex on the self-help shelf. It's rude, really, making pessimistic assumptions of the human race. Freud was definitely wrong. Rude, insulting, and wrong. I would like to see a world where pleasure is on principle, where the law is strictly on cops, having nothing to do with fathers and babies. A world in which the unconscious is strictly reserved for head trauma. Freud was further flawed in his treatment of women. As William would say, Doc protests too much with theories of penis envy. For Freud, Africa isn't the only dark continent, tirelessly creating theories of women hysteria to justify his fear of women. We wouldn't have much to study, though, if we weren't so wrong. Freud is the comic relief of academia, included in curriculum only to entertain, amuse, and occasionally label lunatics still clinging to their mothers.
Religion. One life is the only guarantee any man or any word ever has. Yet this is a godless world, filled to the borders with snakes and sin. And it is a grief begat by God's cruel ruse, because I have read the longest books, and I have cried myself to sleep.
The Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is clearly man's capacity for thought. The etymology of the word word, when traced back to its Greek roots, means logic, a kind of thinking that only man is capable of. So that which is best in us is that which is above the bestial. In the beginning, there was man's capacity to be greater than his body. Foremost is man's obligation to his mind, his higher attributes, refined inclinations. Hewn out of the rock of truth, words are solid, unshakable, unalterable realities. They are dry, hard, dense, and valuable. They are not to be played with, but used to mason the institutions that better our lives. We should never be reduced to the level of the pleasure seeker, that crude and unbecoming hedonist, who in drink and sex and violence is equal to beasts. The nobleman, the virtuous man, is the one who is pure in all he says and does, one who respects the power of words and the role in his self-discipline. One should deny one's desires in order to fulfill one's higher capacity for thought, because in the beginning was the Word. They claim that the Word began everything, and words are the property of man, so in the beginning was man. Man belongs solely to himself, and words, like men, belong to themselves. Words are alone with man, their own beginning. Text is a living thing. It must play, not sit, seek and never find, laugh, belch, wiggle, scream, cry, leap, dance, mourn, and sing. Words are interpreted, stolen, repackaged, unpackaged, deconstructed, and constructed again, all in a beautiful play called language. To say that text for text's sake is wrong is simply ascetic and ridiculous. One life is the only guarantee any man or any word ever has. Words drip with desire, saturated in anticipation for delight. They emerge from the longing in us to be satisfied in every moment, enraptured by every possible experience. The most appropriate thing a philosopher can do is party, because in the beginning was the Word. It is said that in the beginning was the Word. That seems nonsensical. How can the word come before the speaker, or the utterance before the sound, the signified before its signifier? Like saying that the blueprint made the carpenter, it seems to make no sense. The phrase is quite definitive, yet rings with an uncertainty, leaving in its wake a feeling that oddly defies words. It is the same feeling that I get when I consider the mass of Jupiter, or the number of bubbles that froth up in ocean waves, or the number of breaths I've taken in 22 years. It is that unspeakable moment when I behold the majesty of a mountain range, or hear the sound of a river rushing through canyon walls. It is the same feeling when I consider God dying for my living, and living for my dying. The well-known but mysterious fact, the CAT, stands for four-legged thing, and God stands in for man, and man stands in for God. Words are at once living, yet fixed, free yet grammatical, open yet definitive. The world is a contradiction because in the beginning was the Word.
My poem is titled, Are You There, God? It's me, Rafaela. This world is your book. It hangs from fruit trees, hallmarking messengers and martyred men, guardians and angels. Yet this is a godless world, filled to the borders with snakes and sin, deadly drugs on mortared highway lanes, filled to the white lines of homeless. Uriel abandoned his post. Although not through his fault, the wall's fault lines, taking the snake's form, distorting the boundaries, uncovering an entrance. Living in your own garden, I am beaten, abandoned, forsaken. Alone I battle, yet you harden me not from this fight. Separate so far from my son, you of all deities I thought would offer your sympathies. Your silence assures this world is godless. I feel for Cassandra, her empty pleas, because your messenger speaks but does not listen. When I warn of danger, you went with the borders when they disappeared, imposed and enforced a secular world. Bobby tried to hold on to the borders, tried to hold on to you, but he was not strong enough to keep you. Job forgave you too easily for your prideful boast, the embodiment of your own deadly sin. Am I your new Job, an Aztec Job, for a global faith? I've lost my faith. I lost it with the lost ordinance. Unlikely that it will be found. Long lost like the orange, snatched, held hostage and drugged. Your creation altered to kill by Satan and the jaguar. Globality is godless. Missionaries working in the wrong direction. The real new world emerges from the ashes of Archangel the Dragon. This godless world disperses my faith to provide nourishment for homeless on an overpass.
This is called Scars in the Bark, the story of Daphne and Mira. Gods.
I am forsaken.
Like refraction winking off the leaf, I caught Apollo's golden eye. An arrow's inspiration spurred him to give chase, and I gave query. Though he did recite resumes worth of godliness, I heard no woos, allowed no encouragement, and still I find myself the one stuck.
Struck down by Father's own will that gave me a brother to bear, a grief begat by a God's cruel ruse. I saw with the eyes of a spelled horror, not mine, not mine. I saw only magic, no evil. Make another sort of life giver that does not feel this hate as a brand on my soul.
Sisters.
Of circumstance, we are cursed,
Chased.
never chased,
Harassed.
and blamed.
Shamed.
My father,
Dear Father.
aid me. I beg,
I plead.
I burn for you.
I run from him.
Ease my suffering and
Leave me be.
come to me. Transform me.
Into something.
I can stand to look at.
I can look at him no longer.
I am
I am
between here and
there
flesh,
and bark,
despised and
coveted,
im
mortal,
for always. I give
with my last breath,
new life,
as my heartbeat
slows to sap.
and veins turn divine.
I remember the gods
twisting my fate,
standing blind
the
as
sun,
my son.
rewrite,
The stories,
scarred into
our roots.
We're Castle Rock, and this is Steger's Wrong Sing Along.
Music has often been referred to as the only true form of expression and individuality. So it seemed appropriate using 10 of the most renowned songs of time to point out a fatal flaw in Manfred Stigger's theories on globalization.
He used to say that this world was a closing book. Just let the people all become one.
You know you did, you know you did.
This ever-mixing race in which we live in makes you break from the tribe.
Religion is why. Religion is why.
Hey you, your theories are whack. Take a bad thought and make it clever. Remember how stubborn we all are. Then you can start to rewrite all of your theories on universalism because you blow by religion and frankly come off a bit anti-Semitic. After all, people who do not forgo their beliefs for the beliefs of others, why do you think they're holy wars? Make it better.
What you want, the world ain't got it. What you see, you know ain't clear to me. All I'm asking is for a little respect.
Just a little bit.
Hey, buddy.
Just a little bit. R-E-L-I-G-I-O-N.
That's not what in your theory.
R-E-L-I-G-I-O-N.
You forgot TCB.
You've lost that high feeling. Whoa, that divine feeling. You've lost that holy feeling. Now it's gone, gone, gone. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Every note you take, and every word you make, every pen you break, every fault you stake, I'll be watching you. Oh, can't you see your theory's shitty? How long did it take? How many mistakes were made?
I've got individuality on a cloudy day. When your work's in my bag, I'm in dismay. Well, I guess you'd say, what did you write to ruin my day? Globality. Talking about global imaginary globalism.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy in Steger's mind. No hell below us, because he blurs the line. Imagine all the people living the same way. You may say he's forgotten. Well, you're not the only one. I hope someday he realizes that the world can't be as one.
I can't get no global identity. I can't get no one religion. But I tried, and I tried, and I tried. Oh, I tried. I can't get no.
Sitting reading what is to come. I'll be sitting till my brain's gone numb. Thinking God's rolling
And I'll throw away his role again. Yes, sitting with the world is one, watching our lives drift away. Sitting with the world is one, wasting time.
I have read the longest books. I have cried myself to sleep only to see with you. Only to see with you. But I still haven't found what you're talking about. No, I still haven't found what you talking about, Steve. I believe in the kingdom come, so all the world can't bleed into one, bleed into one. But from you I'm still running.
Big thanks to you two, Otis Redding, the Rolling Stones, John Lennon, the Temptations, the Police, the Righteous Brothers, Aretha Franklin, the Beatles, Elton John, and of course, Manfred Steger.
The English Senior Seminar's Last Words for 2013. In the epilogue of Robert Owen Butler's Severance, the author writes that a person can speak 160 words per minute while agitated, and after decapitation, the mind is conscious for 1 minute and a half, thus resulting in a 240-word stream of consciousness. In keeping with this idea, English 494 devised its own end. While having a deep discussion about the merits of working out with a shake weight, a swarm of rabid hedgehogs inexplicably appeared and chewed off everyone's heads. Oh dear, this evening's performance will conclude with a collective response of their own streams of consciousness as they drift from one to another.
Thank you. No more waking nightmares. Sleeping ones too. I hope the dogs get fed. They'll miss me. Thank you. No. No more thinking.
I can't remember where I went. I slipped and everything broke down, crushed in. I coulda, I woulda, I shoulda. Well, that's all, folks.
I came into this major last year. I wish I had more time, but it's time to move on.
Is this it? I love you, Mom, sister, brother, lover. I've lived, but I don't want to stop living. I hope heaven is like nature.
Tearing, gnawing pain. Flesh tears as my blood drips down my neck. Consciousness fading fast, lights dim, hearing the soft patter of little feet.
A shark is the only fish that can blink with both eyes. Lemons will float in water and limes sink. These are my lessons.
I never seduced Taylor Swift. That's okay. I hope there's a God, and she doesn't judge too harshly. Real gangsters don't die. Shots, anyone?
It was supposed to be cuddly. I spent my whole life dwelling on education, skills, experience. I suppose an arbitrarily exotic death nearly encompasses those endeavors.
Roll on, friends, to the driveway and beyond. Dad, look! Dad, look! Pedal! Until tomorrow, keep going. What will I look like?
Listen to music, find love, and say it well in good sentences. So when death answers, no why, just here, you say, I'm ready.
like to take a minute just to say not only thank you to Dr. Luna just for being our a little short.
Dealing with us.
Yeah, thank you for putting up with us. Also, thank you for being our mentor in all of this. But we would also like to say a great thank you to Dr. Jesperson, who has also, I think all of us chose one of your pieces, so we also want to say a great thank you to you.
And if we didn't, you were a huge influence on the entire class.